The sky above Earth was filled with fire and light. Giant alien ships hung in orbit like floating mountains, each one armed with weapons that could destroy a city in a single strike. The people of Earth gathered in fear, staring up at the heavens as a voice echoed across the skies. It was the voice of General Rava, the commander of the alien fleet. Her words rang clear, translated into every human language. People of Earth, you cannot resist us. Your weapons are weak, your armies small. Surrender now and you will be spared. Resist, and your world will burn. The streets went silent. Leaders argued behind closed doors, soldiers tightened their grip on rifles, and families clung to each other. To everyone, it seemed Earth had only one choice: kneel or be crushed. But then, in a wide courtyard outside the capital city, a single human stepped forward. His name was Aaron, a soldier barely in his 20s, with a plain uniform and no rank of importance. He stood tall as the hologram of General Rava appeared before him, projected from a glowing pillar of alien light. Her form was towering and armored, her sharp gaze carrying the weight of countless battles. "Do you surrender?" she asked, her voice cold as steel. Every human eye turned to Aaron. His heart pounded in his chest, but instead of lowering his head, instead of trembling like the others, he did something none expected. He grinned. It was not a grin of mockery, nor of arrogance. It was a grin of courage, a sign that he would not break. General Rava tilted her head, her eyes narrowing. "You dare smile at me, human? Do you not understand who I am?" Aaron spoke calmly, his voice carrying further than he thought possible. "I understand well enough. You are a general who commands a fleet large enough to destroy my world. But I will not kneel, and I will not beg. If we are to fall, we will fall standing." Gasps spread through the crowd. The other soldiers around him tightened their grips on their weapons, as if ready to silence him before he angered the alien further. But General Rava did not give the order to strike him down. Instead, she leaned closer to the hologram, studying him. "You speak as if your courage can shield your planet. Tell me, why do you not fear me?" she asked. Aaron's grin softened into a steady smile. "Fear is easy. Any man can be afraid. But courage is a choice. I choose not to waste my last moments in fear." For a long moment, silence filled the air. The crowd expected Rava to laugh, to command her fleet to open fire, or to simply erase him with a beam of energy. But none of that happened. Instead, she let out a low sound, not quite laughter, but not anger either. "Interesting," she said at last. "I have conquered dozens of worlds. I have broken kings and queens, made warriors kneel before me, and watched the bravest tremble. Yet you, a soldier of no rank, meet me with a grin. Tell me your name, human." "Aaron," he replied firmly. General Rava repeated the name slowly, as if weighing it on her tongue. "Aaron. You will not surrender, and yet you cannot hope to fight me. Still, I find myself curious." Her hologram flickered for a moment, then grew brighter. She turned her gaze from him to the crowd behind him. "Hear this, people of Earth. You have one among you who does not tremble. I will not destroy you today. Instead, I will test this Aaron. If he proves himself, perhaps your world is worth sparing." The hologram faded, and the skyships above Earth shifted, their weapons lowering but not disappearing. The crowd erupted into noise. Some shouted at Aaron in anger, calling him reckless. Others cheered him for his bravery. Aaron stood silent, his heart still racing, unsure if what he had done was foolish or wise. But deep inside, he knew one thing. For the first time since the fleet had arrived, Earth had not bowed. High above, aboard her flagship, General Rava stood at the center of her command deck. Her officers looked at her in confusion, waiting for her orders. She did not speak right away. Instead, she stared at the glowing record of Aaron's grin, replaying it again and again. Her second-in-command finally broke the silence. "General, why do you delay? We could have ended them now." Rava lifted her hand, silencing him. "I have seen fear 1,000 times. It does not interest me. But this human, Aaron, he is different. I wish to know why." The officer frowned. "He is only one man." Rava's eyes hardened, though a strange spark lingered in them. "Yes. And yet, in his grin, I saw something I have never seen before. Perhaps the fate of his world rests on him more than we know." As Earth trembled under the shadow of the alien fleet, one soldier's simple act had changed everything. The war was no longer only about conquest. It had become something else, a test, a clash of wills between a human who refused to bend and an alien general who could not ignore him. And neither of them knew how far this test would carry them. The day after General Rava's warning, Earth was restless. News spread fast across cities and villages. People whispered about the young soldier who had stood against the alien commander. Some called him brave, others called him foolish, but no one could deny that he had caught the attention of the most feared general in the galaxy. Aaron himself had not slept well. His small barracks felt colder than ever, and every sound of aircraft above made his heart race. He knew his grin had changed the course of things, but he did not know if it had saved or doomed his people. Still, deep inside, he felt a fire burning, something stronger than fear. The morning sky darkened again as a beam of blue light descended into the training fields outside the capital. Alien soldiers stepped out, their tall armored forms moving with perfect discipline. At their center stood a new hologram of General Rava. Her voice echoed through the fields. "Aaron, step forward." The human soldiers around him stared, unsure if he would obey. But Aaron moved without hesitation. He marched to the front, meeting the hologram's gaze as though it were flesh and blood. Rava raised one armored hand. "Yesterday you defied me with your grin. Today you will prove if that courage is more than a trick of the tongue. I offer you a trial. If you succeed, Earth may earn time. If you fail, you will show your people that courage without strength is nothing." Her soldiers carried forward strange weapons and devices, placing them in the field. They created an obstacle course of alien design, filled with traps of energy, moving machines, and towering opponents. It was not meant for humans. It was meant to test warriors bred for battle. The human officers watching grew pale. One whispered, "This is not a trial. It is a death sentence." But Aaron simply nodded. "I accept." Gasps rose from the crowd. General Rava's hologram tilted her head, almost as if pleased. "So be it. Begin." The course came alive with flashing lights and shifting walls. Alien drones rose into the air, aiming stun bolts that crackled with energy. Aaron took a deep breath and dashed forward. The first wave of drones fired, but he rolled behind a broken wall, grabbing a fallen alien shield left in the field. The energy blast struck it, scattering into sparks. The watching humans shouted in disbelief he had turned their own weapon against them. Rava narrowed her eyes. She had expected him to stumble early, but he was quick, thinking faster than most humans she had studied. The next part of the trial was worse. 3 towering alien warriors stepped out, each holding long spears that crackled with light. They moved in perfect formation, their steps heavy as thunder. Aaron's shield shook with each strike, the force nearly knocking him down. But instead of fighting their strength head-on, he moved with speed. He ducked low, rolled between them, and struck the back of one warrior's knee with a stone he had picked up. The warrior stumbled, breaking the formation. Cheers rose from the human crowd. For the first time, they saw a human making alien soldiers falter. Rava's lips curved slightly, though she quickly hid it. She had expected defiance, but not cleverness. The trial pushed harder. Walls closed in, forcing Aaron to climb, his arms burning with effort. Energy traps lit up the ground, threatening to shock him at every step. Sweat poured down his face, but his grin returned, wide and steady. He moved with desperation, but also with purpose, as if every leap and dodge carried the weight of his people's hope. Finally, he reached the last challenge. A machine rose from the ground, a massive beast of alien steel, armed with blasters and heavy claws. Even the human officers cried out. No single man could face such a thing. Aaron stood firm. He had no weapon but the shield, no strength to match the machine. Yet he remembered something his old training captain once said, when you cannot win with strength, win with wit. He let the machine chase him across the field, its claws slashing and blasters firing. At the last moment, he dived into a trench filled with old cables. The machine followed, its weight dragging it deeper into the trap. Sparks flew as its heavy frame tangled in the wires. With one final push, Aaron jammed the alien shield into its gears. The machine froze, systems failing. Silence followed. Then, slowly, the alien soldiers around the field struck the ground with their weapons in salute. Even they could not deny what they had seen. Rava's hologram watched with unblinking eyes. At last she spoke, her voice carrying across the field. You have done more than I expected. You faced my trial and lived. Your courage is not empty. She turned to her soldiers. Take him. Human officers shouted in protest, but Aaron raised a hand to silence them. He walked forward willingly, meeting the glowing eyes of the alien guards. He had proven himself, but he knew this was only the beginning. As the aliens led him toward the beam of light, the crowd called his name, some in fear, some in pride. Above, Rava's hologram lingered for a moment longer. Her expression was unreadable, yet her thoughts were not of conquest alone. For the first time in her long campaigns, she wondered if she had found something more valuable than victory. The alien flagship was unlike anything Aaron had ever seen. Its corridors stretched endlessly, lit with a silver glow that pulsed like a living heart. The air smelled faintly metallic, and the hum of machinery echoed in every direction. He was led through tall doors by 2 alien guards whose armor gleamed like stone polished by centuries of battle. When they reached the central chamber, the guards stopped. The doors slid open, and Aaron stepped into a hall so vast it could have held an entire stadium. At its center sat General Rava, upon a throne of dark metal shaped like the wings of some forgotten beast. Her eyes locked onto him immediately. Sharp, bright, and unyielding, they followed every step he took. You walk freely, she said. Her voice was calm, but it carried a weight that made even her own officers bow their heads. Do you not realize you are a prisoner? Aaron stopped in the middle of the hall and lifted his chin. You call me a prisoner, but you let me walk without chains. That sounds more like a guest. A few of her soldiers shifted uneasily, as if expecting her to strike him down for such boldness. But Rava raised a hand, silencing them. She leaned forward slightly, her eyes narrowing. "You mistake tolerance for kindness," she said. "You interest me, but you are still at my mercy. Speak carefully." Aaron gave a small grin. "If you wanted me dead, I would already be ash. So I think you want more than obedience from me." For a long moment, silence filled the hall. Then, to the shock of everyone present, Rava gave a low sound, almost like a laugh. It was short, rough, as though she was unused to letting such a sound escape. "You are bold," she admitted. "Too bold for someone who has seen the strength of my fleet." Aaron shrugged. "Fear will not save me. And it will not save Earth either. So why waste time with it?" Rava rose from her throne, her tall armored figure towering above him. She circled slowly, studying him from every angle like a predator circling its prey. "Tell me, human. Why do you smile? Why do you stand as if you are equal to me?" Aaron turned his head, meeting her eyes without flinching. "Because I believe courage is equal to power. You may have ships, weapons, armies. But we have spirit. That cannot be broken by fear." Her eyes flashed, but not with anger. She stopped in front of him, her face close enough that he could see the faint lines of scars across her cheek. "Spirit," she repeated softly. "Do you think spirit will stop a blade? Do you think it can shield your world?" "No," Aaron said, his voice steady. "But spirit can make us fight longer than you expect. And sometimes, that is enough to change everything." Her soldiers whispered among themselves. Some frowned, others looked thoughtful. They had seen countless conquered species, all trembling and broken. Yet this human spoke as though he carried the weight of his entire planet on his shoulders and did not bend under it. Rava studied him in silence. Finally, she turned away, walking back to her throne. She sat down, resting her armored hands on the arms of the seat. "You confuse me, Aaron," she said. "In all my years, I have crushed warriors greater than you. Yet I find myself listening to your words as if they matter." "Maybe," Aaron said carefully, "because you already know power alone is not enough." Her head snapped back toward him, and for a heartbeat the hall froze. Then, slowly, her lips curved into something close to a smile. "You risk much with your tongue," she said. "But perhaps that is what makes you dangerous." She raised her voice, addressing her officers. "Leave us." The guards hesitated but obeyed, stepping out of the hall until only Aaron and Rava remained. The vast chamber felt even larger in their solitude. Rava leaned forward. "Tell me of Earth. Tell me why your people fight when defeat is certain." Aaron hesitated, then spoke. He told her of small villages where families shared food even in hunger. He spoke of rivers that carried songs of freedom, and of soldiers who fought not for glory, but to protect the children behind them. He told her of laughter, of stubborn hope, of a spirit that refused to die even in the darkest nights. Rava listened without interrupting. Her sharp eyes softened slightly, though her face remained unreadable. When he finished, she was silent for a long time. Finally, she spoke in a low voice. "I have commanded wars for most of my life. To me, planets are conquests, and people are obstacles. Yet when I hear your words, I find myself wondering if I have been blind. Perhaps strength is not only measured in fleets and blades." Aaron met her gaze, his grin gentler this time. "Strength is also measured in hearts." She held his gaze for a long moment, then leaned back in her throne. I do not know yet if you are a fool or a vision. But I will keep you here. You will not be treated as a slave, but you will not walk free either. Until I understand what makes you unbroken, you remain mine to study. Aaron nodded. Then I will speak honestly. Because the truth is all I have. For the first time in her long career, General Rava felt a pull she could not explain. Not fear, not anger, not conquest. Something different. Something she could not name. As the chamber dimmed and the hum of the ship filled the silence, a clash of wills had begun between a human who refused to kneel and a general who found herself unwilling to crush him. The flagship of General Rava drifted in the dark sea of space, its shadow covering the world below. Inside, the mood among her officers was tense. Many wondered why their commander delayed the conquest of Earth. They had the power to crush the planet in a single strike, yet the general had not given the order. In the command chamber, Rava stood before a wide window that looked down upon Earth. Her soldiers waited in silence, afraid to speak until she did. The planet glowed blue and green below, fragile yet defiant. Her eyes were sharp, but her thoughts were tangled. Her second in command, a stern warrior named Kor, finally stepped forward. General, the council grows impatient. They demand proof of loyalty. They ask why we have not destroyed the humans. Do you wish me to send the signal? Rava's voice was calm, though her words carried weight. No. We wait. Kor frowned. With respect, General, hesitation invites weakness. The council already questions your judgment. They say you are distracted by a single soldier. The chamber fell silent. Rava did not turn from the window, but her hands tightened against the rail. Aaron is more than a soldier. He is a question I cannot yet answer. Kor lowered his head but did not argue further. He knew better than to challenge her when her tone grew sharp. Later, Rava walked the quieter halls of the ship. Her steps were heavy, her thoughts heavier. She remembered the grin Aaron had given her on Earth, the defiance in his eyes, the strange warmth in his words when he spoke of his people. She had faced countless warriors, but none had left such a mark on her mind. When she entered the holding chamber, Aaron was already waiting. The guards outside stiffened but allowed her to pass. Inside, Aaron sat calmly on a simple bench. He looked up and smiled when she entered, as though he had been expecting her. You look troubled, he said. Her eyes narrowed. You speak as though you know me. I only know what I see, Aaron replied. Your soldiers obey you without question, but I can tell your thoughts are elsewhere. Maybe you are asking yourself if conquest is the only way forward. Rava studied him, her gaze sharp as a blade. Do not presume to know my mind, human. Then tell me I am wrong, Aaron said quietly. Her lips pressed into a line. She turned away, pacing the chamber. I am a general. My duty is war. My people trust me to win, to take planets and resources for our survival. Doubt is a luxury I cannot afford. Yet you doubt, Aaron said simply. Her steps slowed. She faced him again, her expression unreadable. You dare accuse me of weakness? No, Aaron said, shaking his head. I dare to say you are stronger than most because you are willing to question yourself. Conquest may fill your fleets, but it leaves hearts empty. Maybe you see that now. His words lingered in the air like smoke. Rava wanted to dismiss them, to call them foolish human sentiment, but she could not. Deep down, she knew he had touched something real. You speak boldly for someone who sits in my grasp, she said. And you listen, Aaron replied. Which means part of you agrees. Her chest rose and fell as she fought to keep her composure. At last, she turned sharply. Enough. I will not let a human twist my thoughts. But understand this, Aaron. The Council demands Earth's destruction. If I delay much longer, they may move against me. Aaron leaned forward slightly. Then show them another path. Strength does not only come from fire and blood. Strength also comes from building, from uniting. What if Earth became your ally instead of your prize? Rava froze. The idea was dangerous, even treasonous. To suggest alliance with a conquered world was to challenge the very heart of her empire. Yet the thought stirred something within her that she could not silence. She turned back to him, her eyes hard but uncertain. You do not understand my people. They see mercy as weakness. To offer alliance would be to invite rebellion. Or, Aaron said, his voice steady, it would show them a new way. Leaders shape their people, not the other way around. If you choose another path, they may follow, even if they resist at first. Rava stared at him, silent. Her mind was a battlefield, torn between duty and something new she could not name. Finally, she spoke in a low voice. You are reckless, human. Yet your words burn in my mind like fire. I cannot ignore them. Before she left, she paused at the door. The council will soon send envoys. They will question my choices, and perhaps yours. Prepare yourself, Aaron. The next trial may not test your body, but your spirit. As the door closed behind her, Aaron let out a slow breath. He had seen the conflict in her eyes. General Rava, the conqueror of countless worlds, was beginning to waver. In her quarters later that night, Rava stood before a mirror. She removed her armor piece by piece, revealing scars from battles long past. She had always worn them with pride, symbols of strength. Yet tonight, she found herself touching them with doubt. She remembered Aaron's words, strength is also measured in hearts. For the first time in her long career, General Rava wondered if her victories had truly made her strong or if she had been blind to a different kind of strength all along. The alien flagship moved silently above Earth, but the calm was only on the surface. Below, a rival faction of aliens launched a surprise attack, testing the strength of General Rava's command. Their ship started through space with lightning speed, firing beams that tore through shields and hulls alike. The alarm systems blared, and soldiers rushed to their posts. Rava stood on the command deck, her face set with determination. Her officers reported the damage and casualties, but one name echoed in her mind: Aaron. She remembered his courage, his cleverness, and she realized she needed his help. Aaron was in the holding chamber when the warning lights flashed. The guards immediately moved to secure him, but Rava stopped them with a raised hand. Bring him here, she commanded. The guards hesitated but obeyed. Aaron entered the control room, glancing around at the chaos. You look busy, he said calmly. Rava did not answer immediately. Instead, she handed him a small console. I need you to help me. Our fleet is under attack, and the humans may be the key to keeping Earth safe. Aaron's brow furrowed. You mean, let me command? Temporarily, Rava said. If you fail, it will not matter. If you succeed, we may survive this night. Aaron nodded. He placed his hands on the controls and studied the incoming enemy ships. They were faster than anything he had ever faced, but he remembered the training and clever tactics that had kept him alive on the trial field. Divert the energy from the shields to the forward cannons, he said. They will focus on the fastest ships first. We need to slow them down before they hit the main fleet. The officers looked at him skeptically, but Rava's gaze was fixed. She trusted him, though she did not understand why. The cannons roared as Aaron's plan went into action. Beams of energy streaked across space, striking the enemy ships with precision. One by one, the attacking vessels faltered. Sparks flew, engines broke, and some ships drifted helplessly into the void. Rava watched, her sharp eyes wide. She had fought alongside the best warriors in her empire, but none had reacted so quickly, so decisively, in the heat of battle. She felt an unfamiliar warmth in her chest, a recognition of his skill and bravery. As the last of the rival ships retreated, the command deck erupted in cautious cheers. Soldiers and officers clapped each other on the back, but Rava's eyes were only on Aaron. "You have done well," she said, her voice calm but carrying weight. "You saved my fleet, and perhaps the lives of millions on Earth." Aaron lowered the console. "It was not just me. Your soldiers followed instructions, and your ships are strong. But thank you. I did what I had to do." Rava stepped closer, studying him carefully. "You risked yourself. You could have been killed at any moment." "Some risks are worth taking," Aaron said simply. Her gaze softened slightly. She had spent centuries training soldiers to fight and die without hesitation. Yet here was a human who acted not out of duty alone, but out of choice, guided by something more than fear or orders. Later, Rava summoned Aaron to her private quarters. The room was filled with soft light, contrasting with the cold metal of the ship. She sat at a small table, her posture relaxed but her expression thoughtful. "You saved more than just my fleet today," she said. "You saved me from my own certainty. I began this war believing conquest was the only way. Now, I am not so sure." Aaron tilted his head. "Then what will you do?" "I do not know," she admitted. "My council will demand action. My soldiers expect orders. Yet I cannot ignore what I have seen and what you have done. Perhaps there is a path forward that does not end in destruction." He nodded. "There is always a path if we are willing to find it. Sometimes courage is not just fighting, but showing others a better way." Rava studied him in silence, her thoughts tangled. She had always led with strength, never with mercy. But now, she felt the seed of something different growing inside her. A seed that could change not only her fate, but the fate of countless worlds. "Aaron," she said finally, "I will keep you close. Not as a prisoner, and not simply as a soldier. I need your counsel, your courage, and perhaps your humanity to guide me." Aaron met her gaze, a calm determination in his eyes. "Then I will stand with you, as long as you choose the right path." For the first time, Rava smiled without hiding it. It was a small smile, but it carried hope and promise. The walls of the ship, once filled with only strategy and power, now seemed open to something new. Outside the flagship, the stars moved silently, indifferent to the struggles below. Yet within the ship, two very different beings had found a way to understand one another. The alliance that was forming was fragile, but it was real. It was a beginning. And for Earth and its people, the courage of one soldier had planted the first seeds of hope in a galaxy that had only known war. The alien council was not pleased. Their chambers were filled with towering figures, each adorned in intricate armor that glimmered like metal and gemstone. Their faces were unreadable, but their voices carried sharp accusation. "General Rava," one council member said, his tone heavy with anger. "You delay the conquest of Earth. You question your duty. You place your fleet at risk for a single human. Rava stood tall before them, her armor shining in the council's light. She did not flinch. I do not delay out of weakness, she said firmly. I delay because I see another path. A path that may unite our worlds without needless destruction. The council murmured in disbelief. You risk our authority, our power. You place your loyalty in question. I am loyal to my people, Rava said. But loyalty does not mean blind destruction. Strength is not only measured by fleets or weapons. Strength is also measured by wisdom, courage, and judgment. A silence followed. Then one council member, taller and older than the others, leaned forward. And what do you propose, General? Rava's eyes flicked toward Aaron, who stood behind her, calm but resolute. She had spent weeks observing him, learning from him, and now she knew what she must do. She turned back to the council. I propose an alliance, she said, her voice steady. Not as conqueror and conquered, but as partners. I offer my hand to the humans through this one. All eyes turned to Aaron. He had expected challenges and tests, but nothing like this. The council's silence pressed on him, but he did not step back. Through me, he asked cautiously. Yes, Rava said. Through you, I offer a bond that will unite our species. A bond that shows strength can be tempered by trust and courage. I choose you as my fiancé. The words echoed in the chamber. Council members froze, unable to comprehend what they had just heard. The very idea of an alien general offering herself in such a way was unthinkable. Aaron's jaw tightened. He had never imagined this moment, and yet he knew the weight it carried. I accept, he said finally, his voice steady. Not for glory, not for fear, but because it is the right path. A path that may save Earth and your people. Rava's eyes softened, a rare sight for the council to witness. Then we stand together, she said, her voice carrying the power of command and something more gentle, more personal. The council erupted in objection. This is impossible, one member shouted. You cannot bind yourself to a human. It is dishonorable. Rava raised her hand, and silence fell. Honor is not measured by conquest alone, she said. It is measured by courage to do what is right. If you cannot see that, you are unworthy of command. The room fell into uneasy quiet. Some members looked shocked, others thoughtful. Aaron realized that his simple presence, his courage, and the choice he had made had shaken even the most rigid of their traditions. Rava turned to him, a small smile on her lips. This is not the end of challenges. The council will resist. My soldiers may question me. But together, we will show them a different way. Aaron nodded. Then we face it together. Outside the council chambers, the fleet waited. Reports had come in of smaller skirmishes from rival factions, but Aaron and Rava had already begun organizing strategies that combined alien strength with human ingenuity. The humans who had trained under Aaron's leadership now saw him not just as a soldier, but as a bridge between two worlds. That evening, as they walked side by side along the observation deck, the stars reflected in the glass beneath their feet, Rava spoke quietly. You have changed everything, Aaron. Not just for Earth, but for me. Aaron looked at her, his grin soft but steady. We changed it together. You saw a different way, and I helped you see it through courage and honesty. Her gaze softened. You are not like anyone I have ever known. Your spirit, your heart, they are powerful in ways even my fleet cannot measure. He smiled, feeling a warmth he had not expected. And you are not like anyone I have ever met. You can command armies, yet you listen, you think, and you learn. That is a kind of strength few possess. For the first time in her life, Rava felt peace within herself. Not because the war was over, but because she had chosen a path guided by something beyond victory. Trust, courage, and respect had led her here. The council would resist. The soldiers might doubt. But Rava and Aaron had begun something stronger than fear or power. They had begun an alliance that could shape the future of both their worlds. And as the stars shone around them, two beings from different worlds stood together, ready to face whatever came next, united not by force, but by choice. The announcement had spread across the fleet and Earth alike. General Rava, the fearsome conqueror of countless worlds, had chosen to unite with a human Aaron through engagement. The news shook both species. Some alien commanders were outraged, whispering rebellion. Some humans were in disbelief, struggling to believe that the alien general and a single soldier could change the course of history. Rava and Aaron stood on the observation deck of the flagship, looking out at the stars. Ships of both species moved below, their formations shifting as new orders were sent. The tension was heavy, but it was tempered with cautious hope. "We will face resistance," Rava said quietly. "Some will never accept this alliance. My officers, your people, even the council, they may try to oppose us." Aaron nodded. "Then we show them that courage and choice matter more than fear. If we stand together, they will follow eventually." Her eyes softened, studying him. "I never expected to learn from a human. And yet, you have taught me much about trust, courage, and what it means to lead not through fear, but through example." Aaron smiled. "You taught me too. That strength is more than muscles or weapons. It is also patience, wisdom, and the courage to do what is right." The flagship's communications console beeped urgently. A report from the Alien Council arrived. Some factions had already begun questioning the engagement, and whispers of rebellion were spreading fast. Rava read the report carefully, her expression calm but focused. "We must act quickly," she said. "We cannot allow fear to decide the future of our worlds. We will show the council and my officers that this path can work." Aaron stepped closer. "Then we act together. Your fleet, my strategy, and the humans' courage, we can turn hesitation into confidence." Rava nodded, a rare smile appearing. "Then let it begin." The next hours were a test. Rava and Aaron coordinated efforts between alien and human forces. Messages flew through secure channels, and soldiers from both sides were assigned to mixed teams. Humans who had once trembled under the shadow of alien ships now stood side by side with alien warriors. The first joint operation involved securing a small colony on a nearby planet, threatened by rogue alien factions who refused to accept Rava's decision. Aaron led the human squad, while Rava oversaw alien reinforcements. The operation was difficult, but their coordination was precise. Humans dodged, flanked, and strategized, while aliens used their advanced weapons and strength to hold the enemy at bay. Where one side lacked, the other covered. At the end, the colony was secure, the rogue forces neutralized without mass destruction. The soldiers cheered, realizing that trust and unity could be stronger than fear and force. Rava stood beside Aaron on the planet's surface. She looked at the humans and aliens working together, repairing damage and helping the injured. "Do you see, Aaron?" she asked softly. "This is the power of choice and courage. Fear does not lead. Cooperation does." Aaron nodded. "And respect." You respected our courage, and we respected your leadership. That is why this works. Rava placed a hand on his shoulder, a gesture of both partnership and trust. Then we move forward. Together, we show the galaxy that strength and compassion can exist side by side. Back on the flagship, the council convened once more. They were divided. Some continued to argue that Rava had gone too far, but others had seen the success of the joint operation. Slowly, they began to understand that this alliance was not a weakness. It was a new kind of strength, one built on respect, courage, and unity. Rava addressed the council, her voice calm but commanding. The human Aaron has shown what courage and intelligence can do. Together, we have saved lives and strengthened our fleets. This engagement is not a symbol of weakness, but of vision. We will lead with strength and wisdom, and all who wish to follow may do so. The council fell silent. Some still doubted, but many began to nod, realizing that a new era had begun. On Earth, the people watched the stars, no longer with fear, but with hope. News of the alliance spread, and humans marveled at the courage of one soldier and the wisdom of a general who dared to change the rules. Rava and Aaron stood side by side on the flagship's observation deck, looking at Earth and the stars beyond. They knew challenges remained, but they also knew they had begun something lasting. Do you think they will ever fully accept this? Aaron asked quietly. Rava smiled, her gaze steady. Eventually. Courage and honesty leave a mark that cannot be erased. It may take time, but the path is clear. We have begun the journey together. Aaron grinned, feeling the weight of the moment and the promise it carried. Then let's keep walking it, together. As the stars sparkled above, two beings from different worlds stood united. Their courage, trust, and choice had changed the future. They were no longer conqueror and soldier. They were partners, guiding their peoples toward a new path, one filled with hope, cooperation, and a future that neither had imagined before. And so, the galaxy watched in awe as a human who once grinned at surrender now walked beside the alien general as her chosen fiancé, proving that courage and heart could change everything.